Okay, page 25, number 2. It says that Brent borrows $3,500 to buy a scooter. He takes out a personal loan for 2 years at 6.25%. So those are the two values I need to use the chart. Then I don't use them after that. In fact, so that I remember myself not to use those numbers in my calculations, once I get the chart number, I cross them off. I scratch them off so that I don't accidentally start using them again. So I go to the 2 years, 6.25%. So that's the chart. Let's go find it. 6.25. 2 years, 44.44. That's the number I need. So I go here and I write down 44.44. And then I'm going to scratch those off because I don't need them again. What's the monthly payment? Well, that's the 44.44 times the loan amount divided by 1,000. It didn't say there's any, they didn't tell us anything about taxes or anything, so we're assuming that the $3,500 covers everything. So $44.44 times 3,500 divided by 1,000. I got 155.54. $155.54 per month to pay that. It's not a huge loan, and they got a couple of years, so the monthly payment's not that bad. Okay? Keep in mind when you buy a vehicle, you also got insurance, gas, maintenance. There's a whole bunch of other costs besides the actual price of the vehicle. And those are only going up. Gas prices are going to keep going up. Yeah. Now there's a carbon tax. There's going to be more. The best deal for fuel is to get an electric car, because there's places you can plug them in for free, like at the Forks and stuff, so you don't never pay for fuel. The problem is the cars are so expensive. Yeah, but apparently they last forever. They don't break down because there's no, they don't have the same corrosion, right? There's no oil, and they last quite a long time. And they're lighter. B, how much will he pay back to the bank in total? Okay, so whenever it asks that question, you take your monthly payment.
How do you get 44.44?
From the chart, going back 2 pages.
Okay.
So you use this 6.5% in 2 years to find that number from the chart. So how much do you pay back to the bank in total? 155.54 times, he pays monthly, so that's times 12 times a year. And how many years is that? Times 2 years. So just take the 155.54 times 12 times 2. Total amount paid back is $3,732.96. When you do these questions, the number you get always has to be more than what you borrowed. The bank needs to make their profit, right? Right. C, what's the total amount of interest Brent paid, or bank profit? You just subtract 3,732.96 minus the amount borrowed. And it looks like you'll get $232.96. And let's call it what it is, bank profit. And that's kind of how all these questions work. On page 26, turning the page, Magda requires a personal loan of $7,800, and her bank offers her a 5-year loan at an interest rate of 9.25%. So that's a pretty high percentage rate, 9.25%. Any idea why a bank might offer you a loan at a really high interest rate? What might that say about Magda? Higher risk, yeah. So maybe Magda had some not so good credit history issues in the past. Maybe there was some loan she didn't pay off and collectors had to come after her. Or You know, or maybe she has a history of having jobs, getting loans, and then quitting the job or getting fired. So when somebody's a loan risk, the banks will charge a higher interest rate. It's like, if you'll pay us this, we'll give it to you because it's high profit, right? If you're low risk, they'll give you a better rate. Because that's a really high interest rate, 9.25%. But anyway, we'd go look for 5 years, 9.25. If we flip back 2 pages, 9.25. And we go across to the 5 years, and I get the $20.88, 20.88. Okay. So 20.88 times, that's from the chart, times the loan amount, and then always divide that by 1,000. So the loan amount was $7,800. And we get $162.86 per month. B, how much would she pay to the bank in interest over the 5 years? So same thing we just did in number 2. You take your payment and you multiply it by how many payments you're doing, which is 12 times 5. That tells you the total paid back, $9,771.60. And then you subtract the original loan. And the interest paid is quite significant because the interest rate was high, right? So $1,971.60 extra she paid. Quite a bit because the interest rate was so high. But I guess if she her credit rating will improve because she successfully paid back the loan. 4, Magda, the same Magda from question 3, has decided to go to a credit union to borrow the $7,800. They offer her a 3-year loan at an interest rate of 8.75%. So that's a better interest rate, which means she's going to pay less interest, but it's 3 years instead of 5. What's that going to do to her payment? Yeah, it's going to be a lot higher because they're forcing her to try to pay it back faster, right? Obviously, it's good for her, but can she do it? Sometimes people will choose the higher interest rate if it allows them to take longer to pay it back. It's very common with new cars that they'll offer you 0% financing if you pay it back in like 3 years. But once you go to 5 years, all of a sudden it's like 2 or 3%. And if you go to 7 years, it's more. So, like I said, I bought a brand new Kia years ago, but they had a 7-year 0% financing on it. 7 years, so it made the payment really low. But it was an expensive car, so. So if they hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't have purchased it. Actually. Yeah, 7 years. Yeah, it was enough to make me actually buy a brand new car. Depends on the vehicle. Like I have a van. I have a Toyota van, but I wouldn't buy one of those new. It's so expensive. A lot cheaper when you buy them used. And if they're looked after, they're okay. Okay. What is Magda's monthly payment to the credit union if she chooses this one? So you go to the chart, 8.75, 3 years. So there's our 8.75. 3 years. 3168. That's the number I need. 31.68 times 7,800 divided by 1,000. Which is $247.10. How much would she pay in interest over the 3 years? So the work is the same as we just did in 3. 247.10 times 12 times 3 years this time. So this time she pays back $8,895.60. And if you subtract the original loan amount, total paid back is $1,095.60. Okay. Then, C, would you advise Magda to take the loan from the bank or the credit union? Which one do you think she should do? There was the bank. That's how much interest she paid the bank. Here's the credit union. Which was the better deal? The credit union's the better deal for her. She pays less money in interest. However, she has to be able to make a higher payment, $247 versus $162. So with a question like this, there's actually a variety of answers you could have, right? But in general, what they'd be looking for, and this is exactly the kind of question you're going to do on the 40S, on the provincial exam. They'll have this exact question, and it'll be set up usually for like a car loan, okay? And they're expecting an answer something like this. Magda should choose the credit union because she'll pay less interest. If she can make the higher monthly payment. So if she can pull it off, if she can afford to make the payment, she's way better off doing the credit union. Something like that. Number 5, it's the middle of winter and Simon's furnace just broke. It happens. It costs $3,000 to replace it. That's about right. A furnace is usually about $3,000. His credit card only has a limit of $2,200. So he's willing to get a payday loan, and not a good idea. Payday loans are bad. Payday loan, the remaining amount of $800. Explain why getting a personal loan from the bank would be a better option for Simon. Yeah, payday loans have extremely high interest rates. We talked about this a bit before. In Manitoba, I believe payday loans, they can charge you $17 on every 100, right? You take out $100, they take 17. So that seems like 17%, which is really high, but it's actually much higher than that because they usually require you to pay them back in like 10 days or something. Like 10 days or 2 weeks. And I'll just show you on a calculator. If you pay $17 per 100 in 2 weeks, if you took out $100 every 2 weeks, you'd pay another $17. So how many 2-week periods are there in a year? Well, there'd be 26 periods like that. So really, the interest rate they're charging you is 17 times 26. They're really charging you 442%. Right? Which is loan sharking. It's legal loan sharking is what it is. Yeah. And that's best case scenario. That's if you manage to pay it back in time. If you don't, it goes up exorbitantly from there. That's what they want. They don't want you to pay it back. They want to just keep bilking money from you over time, right? They want you to be trapped.
Yeah, it seemed like I missed something.
Which one?
This and this. This is correct, right? 2064.
That's from the chart, right?
Yeah.
You
and
forgot to
then-
divide by 1,000. So it's
Oh.
5,000. So redo that and then divide by 1,000.
Okay.
And then you get the monthly payment.
I have to go back with the same this VA for 12 and 5, yes?
Yeah. That'll be for the, but it's not 5, it's 3 years. So this will be a 3.
Oh,
And this question should. Okay?
okay.
Okay, and last one, number 6. Silvio has a personal loan of $5,000. His monthly payment is $125. Can you use your knowledge of monthly payments in the chart on page 22 to identify the interest rate and how many years the loan is for? Okay, this is interesting. This one is kind of a challenge question. You're going backwards. We know that they took out a loan of $5,000 and we figured out the monthly payment. Normally you would use the chart for that, right? So normally you had your chart amount for the chart number times the loan amount and then divided by 1,000. And in this case, they're saying it's 125. So we're kind of going backwards here. Instead of dividing by 1,000, what could I do? Times. So let's take 125 times 1,000. The loan amount was 5,000. We multiplied there. What's the opposite? Divide. So if I undo everything that's been done, I should get my chart number, and that should help me figure out what the interest rate was. So let's do 125 times 1,000 divided by 5,000. And I got 25. The number is 25. And that's my chart number. So then if I go back to the chart and look for 25, let's see if we can find it. See any? Oh, look, right here. There's the 25. And that's in the 4-year column at 9.25%. So that's what I'd go here and I'd say 4 years at 9.25%. So that's a bit tricky. You're going backwards there. You're going backwards. And that's it for personal loans.